Hello, I'm Hassan Ajami. I'm a Lebanese author and a freelance journalist. I also teach Arabic language at Thunderbird School of Global Management. And also I'm teaching currently Arab Islamic culture at Phoenix College. Today, our topic is quantum mechanics of communication. We'll start with quantum mechanics. Suppose this is an experiment. It is called the double slit experiment. Suppose this point is an electron, a particle, and scientists shot this particle towards this screen. This is slit A and this is slit B. So, according to scientists, this is supposed to be a particle. It's material, so it is similar to a very, very small ball. And since it is similar to a very, very small ball, then this particle should enter either through slit A or through slit B. But scientists shot this particle, such as an electron, toward the screen, and the result was that this particle, although it is a particle, it entered through both slit A and slit B at the same time. So it seems that the universe now is crazy. The only solution that the scientists developed is the following: that although this is a particle, it is also a wave at the same time. So we can imagine a wave here. Therefore, this wave will hit all of the screen, and therefore it will enter through slit A and slit B at the same time. So the conclusion is that although particles are particles, they are also waves at the same time. And this is an essential claim within quantum mechanics as a scientific theory. Now, we can apply quantum mechanics to communication, and the result would be quantum mechanics of communication. As particles are particles and waves at the same time, communication is transmission of information and hiding of information at the same time. A particle is supposed to be the opposite of the wave, but it turned out that particles are particles and waves at the same time. Similarly, transmission of information is supposed to be the opposite of hiding information. But as we will see, communication turns out to be both transmission of information and hiding of information at the same time. And this would be the quantum mechanics of communication. So the basic idea, as we have mentioned, is that according to quantum mechanics of communication, communication is both transmission of information and hiding information at the same time. Let us look at a very significant example here, which is teaching or education. As you know, teaching is a step-by-step process. When I teach, or any teacher transmits information to the students, but at the same time, a teacher or any teacher will hide certain information by postponing certain information to next week or next month or next year. In this sense, teaching as a communication process is both transmission of information and hiding information at the same time, due to the fact that teaching or education is a step-by-step process. This is a very good example which shows that quantum mechanics of communication is a plausible theory. And each person usually uses both communication as a process of transmitting information and communication as a process of hiding information. But some people are more oriented towards using communication as a process of transmitting information, while other people are more oriented towards using communication as a process of hiding information. This could be applied to cultures. So some cultures are more oriented towards using communication as a process of transmission of information, while other cultures are more oriented towards using communication as a process of hiding information. Now let us compare the Western culture to the Arab Islamic culture. The Western culture tends to use communication as a transmission of information, while the Arab Islamic culture tends to use communication as a process of hiding information. And this is an important difference between the two cultures and their communication patterns. In the West, we usually tend to use communication as transmission of information. For example, when we communicate with each other, we tend to define the concepts and terms that we use in our communication. And also in the West, we tend to elaborate on the background information and on the topic which we are discussing. So in the West, we usually use communication as a process of transmission of information. And of course, this is natural. Why? Because in the West, we have democracies and open societies, and therefore we tend to use communication as transmission of information. But in the Arab Islamic culture, and due to the fact that we don't have real democracies in the Arab Islamic culture, and the societies there are not really open in that sense, that's why in the Arab Islamic culture we usually use communication as a process of hiding information. Now we'll concentrate on the Arab Islamic culture and see how communication is used as a process of hiding information. I will explain this using two important examples. The first example is at-taqiyya. At-taqiyya, as you know, is hiding one's religious beliefs. Let us suppose, and this is just an imaginary situation, let us suppose that I'm a Shia living in a Sunni community. As you know, Muslims are divided into two basic sects, Sunnism and Shi'ism. The Sunnis are the majority, while the Shiites are the minority. And during the history of the Arab Islamic civilization, the Sunnis were usually in power. And therefore, some of the Shiites did practice at-taqiyya, which is hiding that they are Shiites, in order to continue living with the Sunni community. But now let's imagine this scenario, that suppose that I'm a Shia living in a Sunni community. I'm living with the Sunni community because I love this Sunni community and I like it and I want to live and interact with them. And suppose that I thought to myself that it would be better for me to tell them that I'm a Sunni like them in order to ensure that I will live with them and in order to ensure that I will communicate with them in the future. So here I'm practicing at-taqiyya, which is hiding my belief that I'm a Shia and claiming that I'm a Sunni like them in order to ensure successful communication with them in the future. And therefore here I'm using communication as a process of hiding information. This is a very important example. Another important example is al-i'jaz. Now what is al-i'jaz? Al-i'jaz is the ability to express a huge amount of information using minimum words and sentences such that others are not able to do the same. According to the Muslims, the Quran, which is the holy book of the Muslims, contains al-i'jaz. And many Arabs at the beginning of Islam accepted the Quran and Islam due to this fact that in the Quran there is this process of i'jaz, the ability to express a huge amount of information using minimum words and sentences. And al-i'jaz, in this sense, is the highest form of communication in the Arab Islamic culture. But if we look at al-i'jaz itself, it is the ability to express a huge amount of information using minimum words and sentences. But when I use minimum words and sentences, so I'm hiding information. In this sense, al-i'jaz is also an excellent example of how communication is used as a process of hiding information. Thank you for listening.